In Afghanistan this morning, the German military says a firefight broke out at Kabul airport between Afghan security forces and a group of unidentified men. A tweet from its official account, the German military said one Afghan guard was killed, 3 others were injured. Ali, we'll start with you. What more can you tell us about this deadly firefight at Kabul airport, and just what is the latest on the ground there?
Good morning, Joe. Well, the German military reported that in the early hours of this morning, a gun battle broke out between Afghan security forces and unknown attackers at the north gate of Kabul airport. An Afghan security force was killed and 3 others wounded. The German army added that the Americans and German forces were also involved in further battles that ensued, but there are no reports of U.S. or German military personnel being injured. And despite all this danger and volatility, panicked and desperate people continue to gather at the gates of Kabul airport under treacherous circumstances. There was a stampede there yesterday, which the British Army said cost the lives of 7 Afghans who were crushed to death, amongst them, tragically, a 2-year-old girl, just underscoring how dangerous it is for people there still trying to flee the Taliban. And we've also learned that there's a very specific threat from ISIS-KP, that's the Afghanistan branch of ISIS, against Americans and others at the airport trying to get out of Kabul.
There's discussions going on among us and the military about extending. Our hope is we will not have to extend, but there are going to be discussions, I suspect, on how far along we are in the process.
So, Ali, if the U.S. does want to go past that August 31st deadline, do we know, is the Taliban likely to accept an extension of that deadline?
Joe, it would seem unlikely. They're already blaming the U.S. for deliberately engineering a disaster at the airport to deflect from what they call a U.S. defeat in Afghanistan. The Taliban are also very keen for the U.S. to fully exit the country so they can run things the way they want without the risk of any sort of reprisal from the U.S. due to some sort of unforeseen circumstances. Look, the Taliban are stretched thin. Many of their fighters are very violent, and they may get into some sort of spontaneous clash with U.S. troops or hurt or kill U.S. civilians, which would mean the U.S. would then have to get into a fight with them, and that's not what the Taliban want right now.